On.
Hello! Welcome to your second U.S. Constitution video. Today we're going to talk about the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists, which comprise the first two political parties in the United States. So let's get to it. First, we're going to talk about the Federalists. Now, as their name implies, the Federalists were in favor of a federal system. Think back to federalism. Federalism, what? Federalism, what? A division of what? Of power between the states and the federal government. Yeah. So the Federalists wanted a stronger national government, and they wanted the states to retain some power, but did not want the states to have all the power like they did under the Articles of Confederation. So going on then to the Bill of Rights. The Federalists were in favor of adding, were not in favor of adding a Bill of Rights to the federal Constitution. And it wasn't that they didn't want the people to have rights. It was just because all of the state constitutions already had their own Bill of Rights. So the Federalists kind of thought that was unnecessary. And they were also a little scared of writing down all of the rights of the people because they thought, well, maybe someone sometime down the road might say, oh, well, you don't have this specific right because it's not listed in the Bill of Rights. So we wanted to make sure that the people were going to have as many rights as they could. And then, of course, the power of the federal government. The Federalists wanted to have a strong national government with definitely the addition of an executive branch, because if you can remember back to the Articles of Confederation, we didn't have an executive branch. And one of the big failures of the Articles was that they couldn't enforce laws. So it's like, okay, we've got to add the executive branch. And two very popular Federalists were John Adams and Alexander Hamilton. So moving on then to the Anti-Federalists, and as their name implies, they are Anti-Federalists. Get it? They are opposed to what the Federalists believe in. So, starting off with the Bill of Rights, the Anti-Federalists were adamant that we add a Bill of Rights to the Constitution. Like, they were not going to sign the Constitution unless we had a Bill of Rights added to it, because they thought that if you didn't write down the rights of the people, then the government could say, oh, well, you don't have that specific right because there's no proof of it, okay? Now, when it comes to the power of the federal government, the Anti-Federalists wanted more of like an agrarian republic is what they called it. So they're looking for the states to retain all of or most of the governing power, just like we had under the Articles of Confederation. And they wanted the federal government just to kind of be there just in case we needed to defend ourselves from like a foreign threat. But other than that, they don't really do a whole lot. And our super famous Anti-Federalist was Thomas Jefferson. Now, Thomas Jefferson eventually becomes the third president of the United States, and he kind of forms his own political party, and that's called the Democratic Republican Party. And we'll talk about that in a few weeks. So, obviously, these two groups have to come to some sort of compromise, because if they don't, then we don't have a constitution. So what do? The Federalists write a whole bunch of essays, and they're called the Federalist Papers. And in these essays, they basically try to convince the Anti-Federalists that the way the Constitution is set up is a really great thing, and it's going to be awesome. So the Anti-Federalists, as you can probably guess, come up with their own series of essays, and they call them the Anti-Federalist Papers. And that's basically like arguing with everything that the Federalists have said. So we have a constitution today, so that tells you that compromises were made. So in order to appease the Anti-Federalists, the Federalists said, okay, fine, we'll add a Bill of Rights to the United States Constitution. And in order to make the Federalists happy, we have a federal system. Federalism, what? And we have a stronger national government than we would have had under the Articles of Confederation. This lovely gentleman here is Alexander Hamilton, and this lovely gentleman here is Thomas Jefferson. So if you guys have any questions, let me know.